A lesson in humanity at 30,000 feet. The importance of kindness and respect. In the air, surrounded by clouds and the gentle hum of an airplane's engines, one might expect a serene atmosphere. Yet this particular early morning flight from Atlanta to New York was about to reveal a raw and poignant encounter that would resonate deeply with everyone on board. As the plane taxied down the runway, tension simmered just below the surface among the passengers, each lost in their own thoughts, or perhaps their own dramas. A captivating scene unfolds. The cabin was nearly full, a diverse mix of business travelers in crisp suits and families with children ready for a day of adventure in the Big Apple. Amidst this backdrop, one interaction would soon stand out, turning a mundane flight into an unexpected lesson on respect and humanity. Among the passengers was Robert Miller, an elderly black man with a dignified presence that belied his age. As a retired school principal, Robert had dedicated his life to nurturing young minds, and today he was on his way to visit his grandchildren. His steps, though slow, were steady as he made his way to his assigned seat, 12C, an aisle seat that promised easy access to the restrooms and the flight attendants should he need anything. Beside him sat a young woman named Emily, likely in her early 20s. Dressed casually in a t-shirt and jeans, she was plugged into her earbuds, seemingly oblivious to the world around her. With her feet stretched out, she was taking up part of Robert's seat area without a second thought. As Robert approached, he couldn't help but notice the disconnect between them. Politely, he tapped Emily on the shoulder to get her attention. When she pulled out one earbud, a hint of annoyance flashed across her face. "Excuse me, miss, but could you please move your feet so I can sit down?" he asked, his voice steady but imbued with the kindness that had characterized his life. Emily barely glanced up at him, rolling her eyes and moving her feet only slightly. Robert managed to squeeze into his seat, but her feet remained intrusively close, a blatant display of disrespect that he couldn't shake off. Tension in the air. As the flight attendants moved through the cabin preparing for takeoff, one of them, Laura, noticed the palpable tension between Robert and Emily. Having worked for the airline for over a decade, Laura had developed an acute sense for brewing conflicts among passengers. With a friendly smile, she approached their row, sensing the unease. "Good morning, dears. Can I help you with anything?" Robert smiled back, though his eyes betrayed a flicker of discomfort. "No, thank you. I'm fine," he replied, trying to remain calm. Emily, however, kept her focus on her phone, barely acknowledging Laura's presence as she continued to occupy Robert's space with her feet. Laura frowned slightly, her professional instincts kicking in. "Miss, could you please move your feet? We need to make sure everyone is comfortable and has their personal space," she stated firmly. Emily looked up, irritation evident on her face. "I'm comfortable just like this. Why should I move my feet?" she challenged. Laura's expression remained composed, though her eyes sharpened with a hint of disappointment. "It's a matter of respect and courtesy. Please move your feet." Emily huffed but reluctantly complied, placing her feet flat on the floor. Laura thanked her and resumed her duties, but she kept a watchful eye on the situation as the plane took off. An escalating situation. Despite the plane ascending into the sky, Robert felt increasingly weighed down by Emily's attitude. It served as a painful reminder of the subtle racism and disrespect he had encountered throughout his life. Halfway through the flight, needing to stretch his legs, Robert stood slowly, using the armrest for support. Upon returning to his seat, he found Emily's feet back in his space again. He sighed deeply, frustration bubbling to the surface. "Excuse me again, miss. Could you please move your feet so I can sit down?" he asked, maintaining his calm demeanor, though a hint of irritation crept into his voice. Emily glared at him, her defiance evident. "Why don't you sit somewhere else? There are plenty of other seats," she shot back. Before Robert could respond, Laura appeared again, having noticed the escalating altercation. "Is there a problem here?" she asked, her tone firmer this time, indicating her awareness of the brewing conflict. "He's just being difficult," Emily said dismissively. "I don't see why I have to move my feet." Laura's eyes flashed with determination, her patience waning. "Miss, this gentleman has the right to sit in his assigned seat without being crowded. This is about respect and following simple rules." Emily crossed her arms defiantly. I don't see what the big deal is. He's just being old and cranky. Robert's face tightened at her words, a mix of hurt and anger flickering in his eyes. But Laura, sensing that enough was enough, knelt down to Robert's level. Mr. Miller, would you mind coming with me for a moment? I'd like to offer you a more comfortable seat. Finding comfort and support. Grateful for her kindness, Robert nodded and stood up slowly. Laura turned to Emily. Stay right here. I'll be back to talk to you in a moment. With Robert in tow, Laura escorted him to an empty seat in first class, ensuring he was settled comfortably. I apologize for the inconvenience, Mr. Miller. Please enjoy the rest of your flight, she said sincerely. Robert thanked her, feeling a wave of relief wash over him. Meanwhile, Laura returned to coach class, where Emily was now waiting, looking slightly uneasy. Miss, Laura began, her voice steady but stern, your behavior is unacceptable. Disrespecting another passenger, especially someone elderly, is not tolerated. I'm going to ask you to come with me. Emily's bravado began to waver as the gravity of the situation dawned on her. Laura led her to the back of the plane, where the flight crew had a small seating area. I want you to understand the impact of your actions, Laura said firmly. You've shown a complete lack of respect and common decency. You'll stay here for the rest of the flight, and I'll be reporting this incident to the airline's management. Emily's face turned pale as the weight of Laura's words sank in. She nodded mutely, realizing there was no arguing her way out of this predicament. The flight lands, and the ripple effects begin. The remainder of the flight proceeded without incident. When the plane landed, Laura made sure to personally escort Robert off the plane, ensuring he was comfortable and had everything he needed for his journey onward. Emily, on the other hand, was met by airport security and airline officials who would further address her disrespectful behavior. However, Robert's story didn't end there. Word of the incident quickly spread among the passengers, and soon a video taken by another traveler went viral on social media. This footage not only highlighted the disrespect shown to Robert, but also captured Laura's firm yet compassionate handling of the situation. Support poured in from across the country, with many praising Laura for her swift actions in defending Robert's dignity. The airline commended Laura for upholding their values and treating all passengers with dignity and respect. For Robert, the experience, though unpleasant, reaffirmed his belief in the inherent goodness of people. The support and kindness he received reminded him that respect and decency still mattered, and there were those willing to stand up for what was right. Meanwhile, Emily, after facing the consequences of her actions, reflected on her behavior. The public backlash and intervention from airline officials served as a wake-up call. She began to realize the importance of empathy and respect, vowing to change her attitude towards others in the future. A powerful lesson in humanity. In the end, the incident on the plane became a powerful lesson in humanity for all involved. It served as a reminder that no matter how small the space or how fleeting the encounter, respect and kindness should always be at the forefront of our actions. For Robert, it was a reaffirmation that even in the face of disrespect, dignity and resilience would always prevail. From this story, several key lessons emerge that are worth reflecting upon. First, it highlights the importance of basic human decency and respect for others, especially for the elderly. The incident underscores how small acts of rudeness can have significant emotional impacts, and that everyone deserves to be treated with dignity. Second, it illustrates the power of standing up for what is right. Laura, the flight attendant, demonstrated courage and empathy by intervening to ensure Robert was treated with the respect he deserved.